YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. It is the Blade Fusion 360. Absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to get this thing out. Fly barless. We set ours up with Safe. It is a bind and fly. Absolutely gorgeous setup. Cannot wait to get it up. We've got the mechanical drive with the belt driven tail, and we're gonna see how this does right now in the hands of Brian Phillips, the true amateur. All right, here goes nothing, guys. The wind is blowing from right to left, so we're just gonna kind of tend to point that direction to give ourselves the best crack at success. And as usual, we're gonna give ourselves a pretty wide breath. For a brand new helicopter, we do have telemetry on here with the Smart Pack 3S 2250C. Throttle hold is currently on. Now it's off. I'm in normal mode. We're gonna spool up. And here it goes. Wish me luck. There we are. There it is, guys. Gotta love it. Safe is the name of the game if you suck like me. Because I'm in safe and I have full control and it's easy and the camera crew is gonna stay where she is.
Okay.
And by the way, you guys like the America color code? Red, white, and blue. Amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. And that thing is locked in. Love the way it looks. Love the way it's feeling. As a bind and fly, it's a lot easier than other helicopters we've worked with recently. And yes, we do have some wind. And we're gonna go about 14 steps to the center, and then we're gonna just see if we can get you guys a little bit more footage. Obviously, we're in normal mode. This is our real maiden flight. And so as you know, with helicopters, sometimes if something's not quite right, you're not gonna get a second flight. So we definitely want to get a little bit of footage because I am the pilot after all. So now with Safe, I have Safe on in normal mode. I am gonna have Safe off in stunt 1 and stunt 2. And so for that reason, the camera crew and I are gonna pivot and go over toward the bowl. So if you can get ahead of me, that'd be great. Thank you. Very good, right there. So now we're gonna try to do this with a little bit of backdrop here. Now in stunt 1, I'm gonna lose my auto leveling, but I still have AS3X. I still have stabilization. So let's see how we do. Okay, stunt 1. Okay, and look, I haven't crashed yet. That's always handy. So as you can see, I'm just flying along, having a good old time, not having a care in the world. Flipping it upside down like it's nothing. And as you can see, guys, I'm getting to be less and less sucky every time I almost crash a helicopter. Now into normal mode, moving the stick around. Now, if you guys are brand new to piloting helicopters, come on in, camera crew, then I want you to not feel bad because you think you're not a good enough pilot. Trust me, helicopters are intimidating, guys. I fly a lot of airplanes and I fly a lot of helicopters, and the ready to flies take a little bit off the table in terms of the intimidation factor. But these bind and flies, when they're set up from Spectrum, you can trust they're gonna be good. And by the way, I am not good enough to fly like I am right now because I'm just not that good of a heli pilot. But with Safe, it'll make you look like a rock star. Now that being said, if you wanna fly and do all the crazy things, you can go into stunt level 2, okay? I'm gonna get myself leveled up. See that bird?
Mm-hmm.
So now keep in mind, it is not dead calm and we got some cool clouds. So we're trying to do this while we've got some good visibility for you. Okay, so we'll go to stunt 2 and that's gonna go to 100% power. Now I just wanna talk too about batteries. Okay, batteries, this is a 3S battery, folks. The last helicopter we did was a 6S battery. So now into stunt mode 1. As you can see, just doing a couple of very basic maneuvers here. kind of trying to coordinate my turns because I'm still super pansy-ish when it comes to the helicopters, but man, that looks so good. So folks, if you're brand new to helis and you think, hey, you know, I think I've got what it takes to get this 360 tamed. Okay, let's go to normal, which is gonna give me safe. And by the way, I don't hardly ever fly safe on my airplanes, guys. Just so you know, I fly safe like maybe 2% of the time just so I can show how it works. With helicopters, I'm flying safe like 98% of the time. And that's just because I don't really have a problem with flying them like a real helicopter. I don't necessarily want to do all the crazy maneuvering. But that being said, the person that's going to be buying this 360 is going to want to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is just bring this a little bit closer. That's our timer for the 5 minutes, but I'm just looking at my voltage on the telemetry screen. Camera crew, you want to show them that real quick? I'm just going to keep flying. Now we can see that perfectly in person,
but you guys see it on screen.
But as you can see, with the wind, this thing is basically rock solid. Now, I'm not saying it flies itself because it will wander away a little bit, and you can do trim flights to correct some of that. But the truth is, this helicopter is very good. And I'm gonna show you, we'll get into the wind, just like a regular helicopter. You're supposed to land these a certain way, and with the wind is generally the rule of thumb. Okay, so look how easy this is, guys. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna just get it on the ground, and then I'm gonna go into hold mode, okay? So now once you're in hold mode, then it's gonna slow everything down. And what I found is that with helicopters, that's gonna be your most vulnerable state, because at that point, you sort of give over control to gravity and inertia, and at that point, you're done flying. Now, I want you guys to see this. That I can see perfectly in real life, but on camera, it is tough to pick up. That is a lifesaver for a pilot, because you don't have to worry about the timer as much as you do about the voltage. And you can set telemetry warnings, and you can have it give you polling timers, or not polling timers, but you can have it give you incremental updates on you know, where your voltages are. I don't like that. I find it extremely distracting myself, but some of you guys are gonna love it. So just do that in the telemetry warnings under audio events. Okay, so we're gonna take back off. We're in normal mode, okay? Throttle hold is off, normal mode, moving the stick to 50%, and it's gonna start spinning everything up. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and lift off, get it in the air, let everything spin up to full speed. And as you can see, it's just flying along. Camera crew is perfectly safe where she is. She is very nervous with helis, and I don't blame her, because to be honest with you, I'm more nervous with helis, but the truth is I am getting better, and when you have a well-done helicopter, it leaves a lot less of the nerves on the sideline. What an absolutely gorgeous heli. And by the way, one of the things I love the most about helicopters is you can get in here and really see it. I mean, you can be right on top of that thing if you want to. I'm not suggesting that you necessarily do it. I'm not suggesting that it's the safest method, but the truth is you can see what's happening, and that is super fun. Whereas with helicopters, with airplanes, especially high performance airplanes, you might be away 500, 600, 700 feet when things are happening. Not in terms of altitude, if you're following the rules, but just in terms of where you are. And I'm just gonna tell you this right now. It is a different, moderately scary experience, and you will really enjoy it. If you guys like airplanes, you're gonna like helicopters too. But I'm gonna tell you this, if you know how to fly an airplane, you can fly a helicopter, especially with safe. Now, once you get out of safe, you can really start to make this thing do what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna go right overhead. Okay. So if you think this thing looks a little bit lame, blame the pilot, folks, because this thing will do more than I can show. And so for that reason, I want to especially thank Blade and the different companies that have chosen to work with us, because after all, we are the average Joe. That is what we do. I'm an average at best pilot and below average, if that, heli pilot. The difference between the others and me is that I'm gonna show you through to fruition, from out of the box to into the air. And we're gonna try to do it in such a way that you can copy and follow along, and then you can actually make a decision if you think this thing is worthwhile. And the truth is, this helicopter is every bit of everything that I want, and I can see it pretty dang good too. So that's super handy. Now I've got 10% life left. I wanna try for one more loop, and then I think we're gonna call it quits on this battery. 50C 2200 Gen 2. Okay, stunt 1. Okay, stunt 2. There's our critically low, back to normal. And I'm just gonna bring it down. Now remember, this doesn't have any sort of like a return to home. Camera crew is gonna watch out and go behind me to the left. I'm just kind of taking the local route. I actually hear a helicopter too. Where's our big brother?
He's got to be way out there.
Is he? So guys, you may not know this, but the other day, this is a year and a half ago, I had a Huey land across the street from us.
Right.
And it was so cool. I was literally in my, I was in my socks, and I jumped onto one of our cool e-bike scooters, an e-scooter, and I basically drove out to watch it. And yes, I am dragging out this landing because I want to see how it does in the crosswind. And we're neutral, throttle holds on, and we used up every bit of juice in that pack. And you can see a little bit of recovery now that we're out of throttle, but we were at about 5%. So that being said, guys, I just want to talk about this for a minute. If you're brand new to the hobby and you're thinking, I'll never get where you are, Brian, because it just looks too hard. Well, trust me, guys, it always looks hard when you're brand new. And if you're watching Brian Phillips RC and you're thinking, geez, that guy sucks, I could do better in my sleep, I don't doubt you could. So, I mean, honestly, I'm not that great of a heli pilot. But the truth is, I am a pilot and I do it. And I want to see this helicopter. He is low. Oh, they're crop dusting. I just can't see it. As soon as I see it, I will point it out.
Okay, come stand over here.
Yeah, they're crop dusting. So all I'm gonna say is, if you're intimidated by the concept of flying a helicopter and the likelihood of something flying off and hitting you in the eyeball or whatever, I mean, that does happen on an extremely rare case. But the truth is, guys, you know, you could get plowed by a beer truck tomorrow, you know, and you didn't do anything to deserve that. At least earn it if you're gonna do something stupid. So I'm gonna say this helicopter is great. The 360, the Fusion 360 Smart, I definitely highly recommend it. It reminds me a lot of the 330S or a lot of the 230S, except just different size class and different body type. But also I like the tail design a little bit better on this. I feel like it's a little bit more sophisticated. In terms of technology, I feel like it's got everything you need to enjoy the experience, and it's also serviceable, which is kind of nice. Some of these helicopters you get in and they're like, oh my goodness, there are so many expensive components. I feel like when you buy something from Blade, you're gonna be able to get parts for it. And that makes a big difference. And so honestly, I really like this offering. I think it's great. I think we're gonna do some bigger stuff, and we're gonna do it soon. And so we hope that you guys will be there to see it. Now, I'm admittedly gonna say, you know, my loops and, you know, whatever sort of rolls, I usually crash when I roll, by the way, my helicopters. If I try to pivot on the lateral axis, I almost always crash the helicopter. I crashed my Huey out here, or excuse me, not the Huey. It was the olive drab.
Oh, what was that?
That was a Blackhawk.
Yeah.
I crashed my Blackhawk that was in the olive drab out here trying to do a lateral roll. And there's just so much more to learn because the way the helicopters fly. And so if you guys are intimidated, don't be intimidated. Just go through the steps we're going through. Get yourself excited about it. Get out there, put safe on it, and just fly the thing. You don't have to be an expert on day one. Who cares if you're an expert? Let somebody else be the expert and crash their $50,000 jet or whatever it is at the show. And then you can go home and fly your Blade, you know, a Fusion 360, you know. Yep. Who cares? Let them crash their crap. Let me crash crap. And then you guys can just watch me craft and you can point and laugh. You can say, what an idiot. And then you go outside and fly yours. It's in perfect shape. Just do that. I don't care. I'll follow my sword for the hobby. But at the end of the day, this is a cool helicopter and I think you're gonna like it. Also, I have come to trust it because I have gone through a few different setup procedures to make sure that I am comfortable picking it up, even though it's energized. And I suggest you do the same thing. So if you're curious how we did our full radio setup on this beautiful NX10, we'll show you exactly how we do it if you check out the Unbox Build radio setup. And just to be clear, the build takes about 1 second. It's putting this thing on.
Yep.
So beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, awesome, does all the things you want. The only thing this isn't is it's not a 700 size. So that being said, this is a 360 size, hence the 360. But I do love it still. And I love that I can handle it, and I love that I can see it, because sometimes you get smaller and it gets harder to see. I feel like this one's pretty easy to see. So love it, guys. Check it out. Get it from the links in the video description below. You'll support Brian Phillips RC and our family of 6 and all of our crazy capital projects like digging a giant pond that we're trying to do right now, as well as bringing you the latest and greatest in all the technologies that we can get our fingers on. So by the way, you help support us, you help support the people that send these things for review if you buy from the links, and that keeps that whole ecosystem going. So if you just can't do it because you're in Europe, or if you're in, you know, Japan, or if you're in Indonesia and they just don't ship to where you are, then what you can do is you can help us out on Patreon, PayPal, friends and family, if you're doing PayPal. And then also, if you want to do membership through YouTube, that is another way you can do it. That's just been recently added, as well as super thanks. So any of those ways are very much appreciated, and every little bit helps. Guys, it's a volume thing. If you guys don't love what you're seeing here, I understand you're probably a Heli snob, and that's okay. I hope to be like you when I grow up. But for now, I'm gonna keep loving this in the USA. Stay tuned, so much more coming from Brian Phillips RC. Thanks. YouTube, Brian Phillips, still here. 2200 3S, 30C this time. We're gonna see how this helicopter handles it in terms of efficiency. Remember, it calls for a 50C, but we're gonna try it anyway. All right, throttle holds off, and we're normal. Let it spin up. That's good there. We'll get it off the ground. Easy peasy. Want to get you guys a little bit different lighting as well for this thing, because as you know, with helicopters, at least for me, a big part of whether or not I enjoy the helicopter is if I have good enough visibility. Oh, and then also I noticed something after my first flight, which we filmed earlier yesterday. What, I put like eight batteries through it.
You did a bunch, yeah, after we're done.
And really enjoyed it, but I realized I was in my top expo setting, which means I didn't actually have any expo on. And normally I fly kind of in the middle rates for this sort of stuff. So I took some time and flew it in the middle rates, and it just really softened everything up. Camera crew to my right, please. So we'll just go down here into the bowl. We've got good backlighting from the front there, but over here we can really get into it. What a pretty helicopter though, I'll tell you. It is absolutely gorgeous. And then we'll go ahead and step into stunt 1. As you can see, things are nice and docile. You don't have to just flip the thing upside down and do crazy stuff, but you can do that. And that's one of the things that's crazy about this helicopter, is just how well it does on 3S. Because really, on 3S, that's a lot of juice for a 3S setup, if you ask me. And then on Stunt 2, even more insane. And like I said, I just generally don't fly in Stunt 1 or 2 for the simple fact that I just like to feel in control. And right now, I feel so much more in control in normal. And normal gives me the added benefit of the auto leveling and safe. And for those of you that like to fly out of that, I can completely understand why you wouldn't want it. And that is because you have graduated past having that auto leveling function. So now, funny little joke here. I'm just gonna show you what I did on my own. This was something I did off camera. Come over here, camera crew. So, normally people flip upside down and cut the grass. Well, in our case, I can cut the grass right side up and still have it count, right?
Sure.
We have tall grass too.
Oh man.
Who needs a hay cutter, right? All the way up.
That won't take you any time at all.
So on stunt 2, that's all the way up, all the way down. On a 30C pack, I definitely feel like there's some latency there. Then back into normal. And I know some of you guys are going to be disappointed that I don't come out of the safe mode very much. I'm actually just going to scroll over till I get to my battery. But one thing I've learned is that as you fly, you learn the characteristics of the aircraft. And you get to feeling a lot more comfortable with it. And like I said, now that I'm, 10 flights in, 11 flights in, I'm just really enjoying this helicopter a lot. And I don't need to have validation from a 3D heli pilot. But I also understand where I am right now. And I'd like to be better. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Let's get some closer up shots. Looks so cool. Of course, I have to work within the boundaries of the camera crew's concerns too. Can you feel that wind?
Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
So when you're dealing with helicopters, they're just a different beast. They're definitely really fun to fly, and they're definitely potentially more destructive to themselves and the property around them. And so you have to be a little bit more respectful of that than you might with a foam plane. Because after all, there's a lot more built up energy in this thing with all the spinning and high speed moving parts than what you're gonna get in most airplanes anyway. And if you look at the density of that energy stored, it's quite a bit higher because everything is so carbon fibery and metal-y and stuff like that. Go back to stunt 1. Oh, and I was talking to you guys about flipping over sideways. Okay, back to normal. I did do some sideways stuff off camera too, and so of course I need to now do that for you so that you can see what I'm talking about. Just the lighting is such that I'm gonna lose my orientation here. Okay. And see, the confidence of knowing that you can go back to normal mode is the confidence that gives a pilot like me the ability to do the things that I'm doing. And that's because I know I'm literally the flick of a switch away from what needs to be done, which is get level, get true, and get solid. And I gotta say, this helicopter does such a good job of helping you feel like you're in control. And the same is true with this flight controller in virtually any high performance helicopter. And so if you guys ever do get another helicopter and you want to make it fly like this one, you can do it. You just have to go through the tedious and time consuming and somewhat complicated and confusing process of setting up the transmitter and the receiver together. But this one here, being that it's bind and fly, is quite easy. So folks, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing down and land it. Try to do a nice landing. Okay, so we're in throttle hold, and just absolutely love the way that this helicopter works. I love the way it flies. I love the feeling I get when I'm on the sticks with it, because I don't feel scared as much as I feel like I'm enjoying and getting better toward my goals. And I can't necessarily say that about every helicopter I fly. Sometimes I have to lean so heavily on the GPS or on the flight controller that I am just basically not there. I could just lay the controller on the table and it would be fine. Well, with this, I feel connected to it still. And it's the same way I felt when I flew the 230S and the 330S. Was just real similar to this, but this one is cleaner and more refined. It's easier to get the batteries in and out, which sounds like a minor detail, but the truth is it is a factor, because that's one of the things that takes a lot of time on helis when you have to take that front half off. So now let's talk about complaints. I don't like having to use a 50C pack in a 3S. I don't have a lot of 50Cs. I have 30Cs. It's unusual that I would have a 50C. I only have one of them. So that's a bit of a complaint. It's a little bit strange. Granted, if I just flew helis, I'd probably have a bunch of them. Secondly, it's got a long flight time, but I almost wonder if it could handle a 4S, because if it could handle a 4S, I feel like on, stunt 2, you wouldn't have any lack for power. So I guess I don't even think this thing is capable of running on 4S, but I am curious about it. Now, if you juxtapose this to the M4 that we recently did, it is like a night and day difference in terms of build difficulty.
Yeah.
One was tons of work, one was virtually no work. I spent more time refining my setup on that than I did setting this up entirely. Now, if you like the setting up part, then maybe that's for you. But the thing is, I'm not particularly fond of that because I don't have the know-how yet. And also from a perspective of running this little YouTube channel where we try to help people go from not flying to flying, we have to try to understand all that stuff. We don't just download a profile and go with it. We really try to get it and figure out why these settings are the way that they're supposed to be. So anyway, from that perspective, I love the Fusion 360. But it also is not a 6S platform, and it's considerably smaller. I mean, it's actually about the same blade size as the M4, but it's just a lot smaller package, everything else. And I don't have a big problem with that, by the way. I don't mind having a little bit smaller heli. I want a big heli so I can see it from even further away, but I feel like the intimidation factor is going to exponentially increase as I go from a 500 to a 550 to a 700 and beyond. But also, I think the propensity to just need to do everything 3D, hopefully that will wear off for me, and hopefully for you guys in the audience too, because I would love to just fly them as scale helicopters so that it would look, like the way you fly a scale airplane. You don't do 3D aerobatics with every plane you have, but you're gonna wanna do some aerobatics. You wanna roll them or do a loop and this sort of thing. So hopefully we've answered all your questions. I really, really like this helicopter. I trust it. I feel one with it. And as I continue to spend time at the sticks on this helicopter, I feel like I'm getting better as a pilot, as opposed to some of the competitive offerings where I just continue to be scared. And that's a big factor.
Yeah.
So honestly, there you have it, guys. Fusion 360, check it out. If you want to help support us, buy it from the links in the video description below. That is the #1 best way you can help support us, both financially and, if you want to help grow our channel, that's one of the best ways to do it. But also smashing the like button, super easy, doesn't cost you a penny. And then also Patreon, PayPal, members, and super thanks.
Yep.
Are 4 other ways that you can do it if you can't buy this wonderful helicopter from our links. But if you don't like this particular helicopter, you want to buy something else, maybe you want the M4, that's fine. We don't care what direction you go. We just want to make sure that you understand what these things are all about. Because at the end of the day, we don't do the fastest, cheapest, best BS. We just show it the way it is and the way we see it. And you know who I am and you know what I can do. And so you can put those things into the category of, can Brian fly it, can Brian not fly it? And then, is Brian good at it? Is Brian bad at it? And then you can really help to narrow down where this thing is gonna sit, you know, in your repertoire. So my suggestion is, if you know how to fly helicopters at all, and you want to advance through the ranks, I feel like the Fusion 360 is a great place to be. It just does everything really good. And so there's nothing to dislike about that. And also you can't argue with the Merca finish, because that's pretty sweet. We should have done this on the 4th of July, but we missed the boat. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Sweet heli, good job, Blade. Keep up the good work, and we'll be here when you've got the next one going. Thanks for watching. Come back for more.